Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, it is Royal Rumble week. It's like a rock concert in wrestling all in one. We're going to be talking about giving you our predictions for this year's Royal Rumble. We'll also be going back in time to the 1992 Royal Rumble for what we usually call the TakeOver DoOver, but now it's the Rumble DoOver. And we're also going to be talking about the Wednesday Night Wars, that, and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. Heel and Heat Shrimp. And out there in Edwardsville, Illinois, we have Two Beer, Zach Poland. What's going on, Two Beer?
That's great.
Oh, man. I'm just over here trying to figure out how GameStop only wants to give me $3 for my video game, but I'm trying to give them my entire life savings right now.
Sure, yeah. And, if you would have invested, $50,000, you would have made $1 million, and then you'd have to sell at the right time before those greedy fucking Gordon Geckos came back and got all their money back. And to my left, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Allow us to bow our heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 190, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It is all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat. Interesting week this week, at least Royal Rumble week. The build for Royal Rumble, not so interesting. To look back on 1992 definitely was. So I'm looking forward to that. And looking forward to doing predictions for Royal Rumble. A little different this week. We'll jump onto that later on in the Royal Rumble portion of the program. So yeah, let's do this shit.
I like the new way that we're going to do it, basically because I came up with it. But
no, okay, no. He changed the idea. He didn't just all of a sudden, let's build this from scratch.
We usually end up coming up with a lot of the same answers when we
True story.
No,
I have no problem with this. I had to actually do some homework on this.
Be a little bit more fun. We're coming at you from South City, St. Louis, in my basement. Royal Rumble is, Royal Rumble used to kick off the road to WrestleMania. That's the way we always thought of it. Now, I just kind of think of Wrestle Kingdom through WrestleMania as being, it's a third of the year, but it's the best time for wrestling fans, I would say. Wouldn't you say, Zach?
I mean, yes and no.
You just couldn't answer. You just couldn't be. You just had to be contrarian, didn't you? You just had to shit on it because WWE was a part of it. If you would have just left New Japan, you'd have just went right along with it.
Fine with that. That's the last time I go to Zach for one of those.
I was going to say that's a layup. You just like, I'm not scoring. Fuck that. Somebody else can score. It's out of bounds.
How about this? Don't you agree, Jason?
Yeah, man. I was going to say it's going to be a greble time. Royal Rumble is one of my favorites, if not my favorite WWE pay-per-view of the Big Four. Wrestle Kingdom's always going to deliver, and then obviously you have the crown jewel of WrestleMania at the end. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they going to play this thing out for sure.
That's some pro shit, Jason. Thank you very much.
That's what I do.
Why don't you tell us about F&B Eatery?
F&B Eatery on the corner of 3453 Southampton and Marquette, home of the famous smash burger you never heard of. Check them out on social media. That's a great place to start figuring out what you are going to get when you pick that thing up. All F&B Eatery on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram. Instagram, especially me, because I'm a visual type of person. I like to see the food before I actually eat it. Great pictures, just melt in your mouth burgers. Trust me, I know. I've been there multiple times, so why don't you do yourself a favor? Slide on in an F&B Eatery and tell them the Banned from Ringside sent you.
Also, we're going to talk about Bill's Beard Company this week. My wife has started branding the beard oils that she has made me for years, and ever since I started using these beard oils, I've been getting tons of compliments. Like, people said, when did your beard look so much better than it used to? Because sometimes it would get kind of, unruly and stuff. But It's called Bill's Beard Company, and the logo is a silhouette of yours truly. It's pretty good. The beard oil conditions.
Must be a pretty fucking big bottle of beard oil.
See. Wow.
Unbelievable.
Okay, he on one tonight. I see that already.
He is really fired up. Listen, guys, she can make custom scents. My favorite is the Woodsman, because it makes me feel rustic and, kind of sexy, all at once. You believe
Sexy
that?
bastard,
I looked
you.
right at Jason when I said that.
I'm just bouncing it right back.
So the balm does the same thing. It's a thicker paste to help shape the beard. These are all great. She also sells beard shampoo. I'm telling you, if you guys like this, it's great stuff. Hit me up. We'll give you the details. We can ship it anywhere in the world, or you can do a local pickup here in South City, St. Louis. So get yourself some Bill's Beard Company. Get yourself some F&B Eatery. Tell them the band from Ringside sent you. I'll know that band from Ringside sent you if you come here and get it. But anyway,
Right.
Without further ado, let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
Since we're going to talk main roster last, we're going to jump to the Wednesday Night Wars first. I'll take the NXT part. NXT for me this week was actually pretty good. My expectations will go for both shows for the Wednesday Night Wars this week. Just on the NXT side, I think for me the biggest takeaway would be the teasing, dare I say, of the possible Undisputed Era with Finn Balor. For me, I don't think it's going to happen. I just think it's there to kind of tease the NXT universe, so to speak, of what could be. I think if you were going to do it, the impromptu match with AJ Styles and Finn Balor a couple years ago, I think that was Survivor Series, if I'm not mistaken. That was the time to do it, and they passed on it. Obviously, I'm going with the assumption that Vince decided that it's not his creation, so he's not going to do it, even though that was probably free merch out the ass, but he just made $1 billion this week, but that's another story for another time. Anyway, I like the fact that there's still Kyle O'Reilly is being kind of woven into the Pete Dunne, Finn Balor storyline. I'm assuming that they're going to have a title match at TakeOver. We'll just have to wait and see on that. Another kind of takeaway with the beatdown on Pete Dunne is when Undisputed Era came out to make the quote-unquote save. They weren't really in much of a rush to get down to that ring. They were walking down that ramp, and I was like, damn, I watched this shit. I'm like, now, if this is Kyle O'Reilly, I'm sure they're running. This is Finn Balor. They're taking their time on the way down there. They didn't really hit anybody. They just kind of made sure that Kyle O'Reilly was protected at that point and ran the Kings of NXT off. So something else to kind of take away from that. From there, we had some Dusty Classic tournament matches. MSK once again looking solid over Killian Dane and Drake Maverick. I'm kind of glad that they put the comedy segment away for a little bit there. If I'm not mistaken, Grizzled Young Veterans faced who they faced? Tell me out. Kushida and Ruff. That was actually a really good match.
Yeah, ruled.
I'm glad that they waited for the Way to come out and attack. I knew it was going to come out and happen, but I'm glad they waited till the match was over.
That was the best showing by the Grizzled Young Veterans since they've come back to NXT.
Fair. I don't have a problem with that. Did I miss another Dusty match? No. Okay.
No.
Outside of that, I was going to say pretty standard fare NXT show. I'm sure we'll break it down a little more. But for me, those were the two biggest things I can say I took away from that. The continuation of the Dusty Classic, number 2. But number 1, the tease of Undisputed Era 2.0. It looked good. It made me think about, what could it be. But I can't see it happening. I think it would raise too much ire within the wrestling community, online and off. You had the chance to do it. You passed on it. So let's just, see where this goes with Finn being the one-man gang, so to speak.
Two Beer Zach, is there a major thing that Jason left out of that recap?
Unfortunately, the most frustrating part of the show was we didn't get to see Kurt Stallion with his cruiserweight title match because he got attacked again.
Didn't. Yes.
That was annoying. I was like, that was like the one thing I was tuning in for. But that tag match was really good. The Grizzled Young Vets and Kushida and Ruff. I did really like that match. But yeah, I was really tuning in to see Kurt, and just totally blue balled us again. Regal seemed mad about it though, so I think he's going to get his opportunity. It's not just kick the can down the road. But yeah, that was a bummer.
No, it seems like they're actually trying to they're putting heat on Legado del Fantasma they're putting heat on them in terms of their feud with Kurt Stallion. They also gave Kurt Stallion a sit-down segment where, he was getting interviewed by Mackenzie Mitchell, which I thought he came across as arrogant, but also kind of cool. And
you thought that was arrogant?
Yeah, it seemed a little. I mean, maybe it's just because I think that he comes across as arrogant kind of all the time. Don't you? No,
I thought that was pretty, babyface 101.
What do you think, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I thought, it's definitely, got a little bit of insight into the Kurt Stallion character for, like, the larger NXT audience, like, for those of people around the country that were not watching the independent scene in St. Louis, Missouri, or Texas. So
right, yeah.
That's good, because we know him, we love him, but nobody else knows who the shit he is and why they should care that he's getting a title match or why they should care that he got beat up backstage. It's just so yeah, it's definitely good.
Are you surprised they let him keep his name?
Very.
I am too.
A little bit.
Very.
Like I thought, it kind of blows me away that they didn't just rename him.
Yeah,
because they rename everybody
pretty much. I mean, August Gray was one of the guys that came up from Evolve or whatever. They renamed him.
They didn't rename any of the guys from Undisputed Era, but they were all very well established.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Adam Cole was Ring of Honor champion.
Yeah, I'm sure that they had their I's dotted and their T's crossed before they even came to WWE, and probably had their names copywritten. But like I said, just to answer the question, yeah, I'm very surprised that he kept his name.
So next week, we're getting that match. That's what they say.
Think.
They say that we're getting Stallion versus Santos Escobar. I don't see Stallion winning. They sure are, like Zach said, they sure are giving us the blue balls on it, though. It makes me think that there is some kind of angle coming down the pike if they're putting this much time in between the match. I mean, because right now we're going on like 6 weeks.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I wouldn't be surprised if Kurt wins and then kind of costs it back up subsequently thereafter. If they played their cards right, this should be a TakeOver match. It shouldn't be a next week match. They should wait until TakeOver and just get it done.
I mean, that would be badass if it was a TakeOver match.
I think if they didn't do this week's angle, TakeOver is only realistically 2-3 weeks away.
Why? So why isn't the TakeOver this year during the same weekend as the Royal Rumble? No answers?
No.
They just stopped, they just got off of that schedule and just kind of got on their own schedule.
Bouncing off of what Jason said, I thought the Finn Kyle O'Reilly stuff, I think it's really good. I think it's a really good slow burn story. They're two baby faces, basically. Two baby faces that have a mutual respect thing kind of going on, but they also don't really like each other,
You broke my jaw, motherfucker.
I guess it's like I've never seen it, but is that kind of like what happened in Hobbs versus Shaw?
Yes. Very much so.
Okay. See? Yeah, I didn't even have to see it. Let me guess. Statham and The Rock, neither one of them dies. Is that right?
Well, I mean, if you want me to spoil it, then...
no, don't spoil it for the fans.
Yeah, right.
Anything else about NXT? I mean, I thought it was a decent show.
Karrion Kross... well, I should say that Scarlett passing the tarot card out and it landing into whose lap did it land into? Santos Escobar's lap. That was a little weird.
Well,
I'm not
Karrion
sure.
Kross can't go for the cruiserweight.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure where that's going per se. I I thought Swerve and Bronson Reed had a really solid match.
They're done with Swerve, though, right?
God, I hope not.
Zach, are they done with Swerve?
It seems like it, which is crazy because, like I said, I've watched Swerve get over, like, easily. Like, that dude gets over everywhere he goes, and it seems like they're just giving him the Jake Atlas treatment. They're just going to beat him and beat him and beat him.
Yeah, he's a good worker that never wins, you know?
That sucks, man.
I mean,
at least Jake Atlas is young. Like, I mean, Swerve's not old, but, like, you know, whenever I started watching MLW, Swerve was the top guy.
Right.
And was good at it. And, yeah, dude's got a ton of charisma, great worker. Total shame.
Tony Storm comes out, cuts a promo. A couple other people come out. Listen, in kayfabe style, is Tony Storm Lance Storm's daughter?
No.
I was getting ready to say, dude, I'm glad you answered that because I was getting ready to start talking mad shit.
It's just funny because Lance Storm is such like a stoic personality, and Tony Storm is not. Tony Storm being a heel is completely stupid. I think the only reason she's a heel is because Aew is a face, and they want that feud. But it looks like they're getting into Bill territory and getting a three-way going on, or at least maybe a contendership match with Mercedes Martinez, because we had that beatdown. But yeah.
Can I push back on the Tony Storm is heel stupid comment? I'll go this far. If you watch NXT UK, they were kind of leading towards this Tony Storm heel turn. So it's not necessarily stupid per se. If you don't watch it, then it really doesn't make sense. This heel turn just comes out of the blue. At that point, I can totally understand why you would think it's stupid. But to credit both sides, on the UK side and on NXT proper, this was set up already, and they just executed it on NXT versus it being on NXT UK. But
I mean, I'll push back on that a little bit just to say that NXT has two feuds going right now. Well, not even going anymore, but like Thatcher and Ciampa was a feud that there wasn't really a face, wasn't really a heel, and it was just built on two guys that really wanted to beat each other's asses. That worked. The mutual respect thing between Finn Balor and Kyle O'Reilly also kind of works. With somebody who talks as little as Io Shirai does, I mean, you could not flip Tony Storm heel, have those two have a feud, and you don't really need a heel and a babyface. And I know that sounds contrary to everything that I've ever said on this podcast about heels and babyfaces. But she just doesn't seem like a heel to me.
They just also have a history, and it's not the sense of like, you know, Bayley's character's not working, let's flip her heel, and then she really like shines in the role. Toni Storm would shine in either role, like she's super talented, but it's just like, yeah, it's the immediacy of doing it. Like she had just come back, like, you know, it's like them being contrary to what fans want. Like Toni Storm comes back, everybody loves Toni Storm because she's super over. Like who wouldn't? She's great, and then they just turn her heel. And even if the seeds are playing on NXT UK, it's the same kind of thing. It's like, you know, with Being the Elite, you know, you shouldn't necessarily have to watch Being the Elite to follow stories on Dynamite.
Right.
I ain't got time to watch all this WWE product. Like, give me the story, like, on the show that you want me to see it on, and don't make me make sense of it, right? Like, don't make me do the work. Like, you know, show me.
Show, don't tell, says the old English professor. You know, it kind of makes sense though when you consider who her dad is, though. You know, it's kind of a nature versus nurture thing where Toni Storm is obviously she's going to get a little bit more serious as the stakes get higher. You know, Lance Storm.
Yeah.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know if you want me to sell it or not.
Yeah, I wanted you to fucking sell it, dude. What are you doing? You're sitting here next to me. You're supposed to fucking sell it.
I wasn't sure. Sometimes I do it.
Jason's over here fucking no-selling to me.
He keeps yelling at me.
All right. Anything else about NXT?
No. looking forward to next week's semifinal matches. I think that's going to be, well, not next week's semifinal matches. Undisputed Era and
so that's
Thatcher and Ciampa is next week
versus Undisputed Era.
Is that quarterfinal match? I overstepped my bounds. That should be interesting. From there, we'll kind of just see where this thing goes. But yeah, I thought this week's NXT was better than the week before. Let's go that far.
It's rarely bad. I mean, it kept me entertained. I was into it. Anything else you want to talk about, Zach?
No, I mean, it was fine. It was essentially, a bunch of matches for the Dusty Classic. Like, that's the focus right now.
Yeah, and that's cool.
No, I don't have a problem with that. I was going to say women's and men's side. Don't want to step on or forget Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez laying the SmackDown this week as well. So, yeah, that should be the team that needs to win this Dusty Classic. I don't give a fuck about
I think they
Casey and that if they can lose, they'll lose next week. If they win next week, then they'll win the tournament.
Who do you think's going to win the men's side?
I'm going to stick to what I was kind of saying last night to myself. MSK just feels like they're going to be that team.
Zach, who do you like?
Yeah, MSK, because I feel like they brought him in for the Classic. Like, they're using it to, make them stars.
I'll take the Grizzled Young Veterans. And let's...
I don't have a problem with that either.
Let's move on to that 2 counts.
1, 2, 3.
2 beer, what's the 2 count?
2 count. We had Dynamite last night, which, NXT was a solid wrestling show. I thought this one was pretty exceptional. We had a couple of really standout matches. Just the opener was a lot of fun. Eddie Kingston and Lance Archer just beating the shit out of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that choke slam over the top rope onto the ring apron, like Eddie Kingston landed on his hip, and I was like, oh, God.
I was like, that shit was early. I was like, ugh, this is going left early. Damn.
But as JR, I'm sure, said, total slobber knocker. And really the match of the night, though, was Jungle Boy versus Dax Harwood.
I agree.
That thing delivered as much as I thought it would. I mean, I was looking forward to this show for that match. I had remembered from last week that they had billed it, and I was like, fantastic. And that match was everything you wanted it to be and more. And they just totally killed it. Dax Harwood put him over. Jungle Boy, just looks like $1 million. He's 23 years old. It's just insane. That new entrance music, even, the crowd was just singing it the entire time. I can't imagine how hot a crowd, like a real deal, touring crowd, how hot they would be for Jungle Boy. It's just crazy.
No, I agree with that totally. No, I was going to say I agree with that totally. I had minimal expectations for that Dax Harwood Jungle Boy match, and then all of a sudden I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, I didn't know Dax Harwood could wrestle this well singles wise, and B, we are on the makings of a fucking instant classic. I mean, that Joker just went from 0 to 100 so quick. The next thing I know, I'm looking around, and you got Dax Harwood doing shit off, the middle and the top rope or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I totally agree with both those sentiments. I thought Eddie Kingston getting away, I would say this in a better choice of words, the opening match. I was kind of waiting for Pac to come out and flip his shit, because let's just call it for what it is. Lance Archer had Eddie Kingston dead to rights on multiple times at the start, at any point during that. Well, I shouldn't say any point, but towards the middle, towards the end of that match, he could have ended it at any time, and he chose not to. And I tweeted it, and I was just like, he pulled him up from the pin. That's a mistake. And then eventually, he ended up biting him on his ass. And the other thing I was going to say about that segment, and just basically wrestling in general, baby faces are just fucking stupid. I mean, they are the dumbest motherfuckers on the planet. Lance Archer as a heel, could have been like a rocket scientist. He could do no wrong thinking. As soon as they start, putting him towards a babyface role, now all of a sudden, go back in the back, doing stupid stuff like that.
You're putting the whole system on trial.
Sorry, I'm 1992 Royal Rumble.
Babyfaces baby faces are completely stupid in WWE for sure.
No,
except for KO.
look,
No, that's true. Except for KO. KO does not fall for shit like other baby faces do. He really doesn't. Like, if somebody's music plays and Kevin Owens in the ring in the middle of the match, he will leave the ring. He will leave the ring so that he doesn't get caught up in that shit. I would say everybody except for Kevin Owens. I agree.
I'll go this far. I can guarantee you give AEW time, they'll do that same shit too. Okay? I'm getting ready to say, who did Power Hobbs turn on? Who did Powerhouse Hobbs turn on?
Cody.
Yeah,
okay.
Cody?
Yeah, Cody was real trusting, and so all of a sudden he was getting his ass handed to him, right?
Nobody saw that turn coming, though. Nobody.
Yeah, and kayfabe. I mean, that's not the
best example
of Cody being dumb.
Look.
Nobody saw that coming.
Anyway, yeah, it was. But yeah, all right. So we'll stick to this Wednesday. Bill's favorite segment, I'm sure, was Darby Allin and Sting. In an abandoned warehouse, talking about being hoodlums and breaking windows. But that's just to set up the Revolution fight, so not really much to talk about. John Moxley had a great promo. I thought his promos would end up not lacking because of talent, but just lacking in kind of gravitas because he's not the champion anymore. But now he's just like lighthearted and fun, and he's like, talking about how he's a simple dude. He likes his coffee hot, his beer cold, his water room temperature, and sex in the morning. And I'm just like rolling. It was just really good shit.
I gotta admit, I agree with all those things.
Yeah, that's true. But they're going to have a 6-man tag at the Beach Break, which is not a pay-per-view, but, one of those big Dynamite shows. So Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers against Mox and the Lucha Brothers, which sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Just sounds absolutely amazing.
And Moxley also put it over by talking about how much he likes 6-man matches.
He did, but hang on. Yeah. I thought I saw on the graphic or whatever, it's Pac, Phoenix, and Mox versus Omega and the Good Brothers.
Pentagon's not around. Yeah,
okay.
That's right.
Okay, that's when they say, shit, I know I'm high all the time, but damn.
It's like it's a modified Death Triangle.
Yeah, which is fine.
Still amazing. But yeah, he was also talking about how he didn't know who was friends, and even he was kind of poking fun at the convoluted storyline, with, in a cheeky way, without really talking down on it.
Yeah, without burying it.
Yeah, he wasn't burying the storyline so much as he was like kind of ribbing the dudes in the Elite, right? But can we for a second
go back to the Darby Allin Sting segment?
Oh yeah, okay.
I wanted to say something about that too.
You should have seen me watching that segment, watching it live. Like, it looks. I don't want to shit on it too much. Actually, I do.
Yeah, you do. Go ahead. Let's say stop lying, motherfucker.
Darby Allin throwing his skateboard through the window.
Dude, you stole my thunder.
Looks so ridiculous.
Dude, No, you know why it looked ridiculous? Is because it didn't, go straight through solidly. He had some heat behind it. It broke the glass, but then you can kind of see the skateboard hanging.
It looked like that whole segment looked like the goth senior that doesn't have any friends, so he has to hang out with the freshmen, and it's like the senior and the freshman are best pals, you'd see him around, and then they're like, yeah, we're hoodlums, and then fucking Sting breaks it with the bat. Come on. Okay, all right, that's it. I feel bad because I know how much this means to Zach. I feel bad.
I had strong feelings about it. That's why I glossed over it. I didn't think it was cool or particularly bad.
No, you glossed over because
maybe it wasn't that great.
No, you glossed over because your boy was over here in the on deck circle. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Let me shit on this one.
I couldn't. I mean, I just don't know why anybody would think that was I don't
It
know
was
why.
what it was. It was not very good. I'll agree with you on this one. The skateboard thing is where he threw it through that window, and I'm like, okay, there needed to be some, like, a bunch of stunt windows. So that when he threw that skateboard through that window, it just goes right through, no problem. It doesn't even look like, there's like, what's the problem kind of deal. And once it kind of hung up there, that threw my whole attention off, and I stopped paying attention to that segment. I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, I'm good.
I expected Sting to be out of breath after he had to, like,
See?
I thought the same thing.
You ain't shit.
he had to
I thought
deliver a
that-
line after that. I was like, oh, he done blew himself up.
I thought the exact same.
I'm like, damn, man, he's swinging a bat. I mean, what the fuck? He can't be that out of shape.
Well,
It's
a
impossible.
couple times he missed the window. He just
Yeah.
kept hitting the ledge in between. It's like, dude, come
Stop,
on, man.
stop, cut this shit.
We're live.
Yeah, you never mind. Go back to JR. Yeah, it was not the best setup by any stretch of imagination, but neither was Taz on the return shot either, so it kind of is what it is.
That wasn't that great either, especially for, as good of a talker as he is. Just kind of fell flat.
No, I don't even think it was the talking part. Taz talking is fine. I think bullying random merch guy A because he has Sting and Darby gear and no Team Taz gear. Okay.
Well, they did the thing. They did the Kevin Nash, Rey Mysterio dart.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ricky Starks press slamming the old boy was more impressive than Brian Cage throwing the old boy like a lawn dart.
Ricky Starks is
Yeah,
badass.
that's pretty funny. Yeah. So Dr. Britt Baker versus Shanna, nothing to really say there. Hangman Page versus Ryan Nemeth, which I don't know if you guys realized, or if you guys probably did, but there might be people listening that know that was Dolph Ziggler's brother. So
He was in NXT for a while as like Briley Young or something.
I honestly do
like
not
shit.
remember that.
It's just one of the worst names ever. I'll look it up. Go ahead. Sam.
Good Lord, that sounds brutal.
absolutely terrible. But it was fine. I didn't see anything particularly great. I think that was a tryout match for him, and it was like fine, but he didn't stand out. To me,
It looks like he's cosplaying Dolph Ziggler. Like he had
taller.
He had Hollywood Hunk written on his trunks. Yeah. It's fine.
He looked like a taller.
Briley Pierce. He was in NXT.
I don't even remember that.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that name is brutal.
Jericho and MJF versus Varsity Blondes. These guys always impress me. Pillman Jr. is a good, solid worker, young guy who's only going to get better. And like that guy was legitimately trained by Lance Storm. And
Tony's
same
dad.
thing with Tony's dad. Known as like that's his claim to fame. Is Tony's dad.
Yeah, right.
And
That's going to be the running joke.
Storm from X-Men's illegitimate son.
Really?
So, yeah.
I didn't
Come on,
even know
man.
that.
Don't make this worse.
It's a goofy
And,
show today.
Then there was some fun stuff spinning out of this, MJF and Sammy, and that's one thing that's really cool because this MJF Sammy thing is not going to pay off immediately. We're going to get more of it, and we're going to get that Sammy Guevara face turn. I imagine that this is something that they can slow burn for a good long while, maybe even until they get fans back and they're able to do a Sammy face turn with fans. But that thing's going to be cool. That's one pleasant thing. You see this stuff and it's like, oh, this is going to happen. And you can see the logic and you can see like a timeline. And, half the time with WWE, even with NXT, like, I don't know what's happening next week. And right now with New Japan, I know what's happening next week because it's the same thing that happened last week. It's the same fucking match every goddamn, show. Like if you watch those Road to New Beginning shows. So anyway, really good booking. And Cody Rhodes responding to Shaq. What do you guys think about this? I mean, Red Velvet's the replacement. That's the big news. We kind of assumed that, or at least I did because of the direction they've been going with this. But the whole thing was set up to be Cody and Brandy versus Shaq and Jade Cargill as this big celebrity match. Hopefully Red Velvet can, carry, or Cody can carry, like Shaq, he was an athlete. like, I can't really say he still is an athlete. I don't know, but he's a very big man, and it's going to be very hard. He's not a very mobile man anymore, probably. He's just huge, and it's going to be hard to pull this off. I don't know what Jade Cargill is like as a wrestler. This just seems like a really tall challenge for Cody.
I mean, I agree 100%. I mean, it's a gimmick match, obviously. We're not looking for a whole lot. I'm sure Shaq will probably do some clotheslines, maybe a leg drop or something here or there. I don't want to see Shaq wrestle. I'm a, as the resident NBA expert here on the podcast,
dude, I'm sitting right here. Asshole.
I was, I watched Shaq's entire career. I've always liked Shaq, even when I hate the Lakers and hated Kobe, I never really hated Shaq. I don't want to see him wrestle at all. I get that you need to do this to get some eyes on the product, I guess. I don't know if these are the eyes that you want on the product. I don't know how many people stick around for this. Like they might tune in to watch the Shaq match, and then they might never tune back in. I'm not looking forward to it. If I was watching it by myself, I might skip past it if I didn't have enough time. What do you think, Jason?
I was trying to say at least you're a little more towards the gray area. I expect very less from the Mark over there that loves AEW. So if this was wrapped in WWE, we would all be taking the massive dump on it. So let's not sit up here and make concessions for the fact that this is AEW doing it. It's the same thing that WWE has done time after time, years for years on end, and they just got paid another $1 billion for the network for it. So let's not sit up here and call this any different than what Bill just said. A, this is a gimmick match. For B, casual fans to look on the product, and see, Cody has got to do a lot of the carrying. We have not seen Jade Cargill in any sort of match. We haven't seen Shaq in a match since God knows when. I'm going to be nice and say at least 5 years, if not 10. And Red Velvet is pretty fucking green for being red. So the bottom line is this. You can throw that shit out there if you want to, but I will be the first one to tell you, if this was WWE, we would be taking a massive dump on it. And the fact that you two are kind of like, I don't know. No, man, bullshit. This is a horrible fucking idea. They should have dropped this shit long before once Brandy got pregnant, this angle should have ended and you start figuring some other shit out. They've done it before and it hasn't been a problem. But now that you're going to go down this rabbit hole, I want this shit to be a goddamn train wreck.
Well, here's the thing. Like, you don't want it to be a train wreck because you want, like you said, people's eyes to be on the product, and you want them to at least appreciate it enough to come back. And you want that because you want the company to do well, because you want better wrestling and better competition. I want WWE to do better. I shit on them all the time because they have the resources. They just suck. But I don't shit on WWE for bringing in celebrities. I mean, that's just things that you do. And I don't expect even a 3-star match out of this thing at all. But I'm not going to shit on them for bringing Shaq in. It's not for me. Like, and it's not me being an AEW mark. Like, dude, like, I don't really care about this match. But if it pumps their ratings up and it gets them more money and they're able to hire more talent and give people more money, I mean, that's fine. Like, I don't see, it's not for us. Like, we've all said, but yeah, I mean, you don't want it to fail. Like, that's just obnoxious.
No, I'm not saying that I want AEW to fail. I'm saying that this match is going to be a absolute shit show. Okay, let's just not even gloss around that fact, because you got too many green characters, or not characters, too many green wrestlers in the ring, and Cody's going to have to do a lot of this heavy lifting. I just don't see how this is going to work.
I think, if this was WWE, that I would be much more apt to shit on it, because WWE wouldn't surround a match like this with a bunch of high-flying, badass shit with a much better card. So you saying that if it was WWE, I'd be shitting on it? Yes, I would be, because the main event would be Goldberg versus McIntyre, or Goldberg versus somebody else, or some other fucking formulaic. But let me finish. or some other formulaic bullshit. Meanwhile, this is going to be on the card with Kenny Omega, with Penta, with Phoenix, with Jon Moxley, with all these fucking badasses that are going to fill up the card so that this can be a popcorn match for me. So, context has to matter if we're talking about the difference between AEW putting Shaq in a match and WWE putting the guy from Arrow in a match. Right?
Oh, were we talking about the entire card or just the match itself?
No, we're talking about whether or not you were talking about
okay, so if we're going to talk context,
would you shit on WWE if they did this versus AEW doing this? I am less apt to shit on AEW doing this because AEW would surround that match with better shit. Now, WWE would probably make this the main event. You know what, Jason? It's okay to just be like, sometimes Bill's right.
Well, I'm sorry, you're not right in this case because we're talking about.
Whenever you're arguing with your wife,
no, even then, they start arguing. I'm like, I'm out of here. No, we're talking about match versus match. They're basically the same thing. Okay. If we're talking about the entire card, then that's something entirely different. I get your point. I will concede if you're talking card versus card, AEW would do a better job in hiding this particular match throughout 3 hours versus WWE that does things differently.
Worse.
Okay, but they would do things differently. Could it be the main event? It wouldn't surprise me if it would have been. But the bottom line is match versus match, they're the same damn thing.
And then Miz would have cashed in on Shaq, even though Shaq did.
Okay. So that's the difference. That's the difference.
Morrison would have handed the briefcase again. So then they would have to give it back to him. And
there you go.
He'd have to give his ring back to Shaq. It would be,
I'll sleep fine tonight knowing that I was right. Okay.
Jesus. See, this is why I even say.
We just had a main event that was very good. We have this tag team Royal Rumble or Battle Royal next week. Basically, Young Bucks fully implied that if they win, they get to pick their challenger, and the implication was that they were going to choose the Good Brothers. And we're setting up a little bit of tension, which, again, I don't think this match pays off quickly, right? It depends on how long-term this deal with Impact goes, but this whole Good Brothers Elite thing and then her promotional stuff has legs, right? You ain't trying to give that away next week or Beach Break or even Revolution. I say put that off until what do you call the thing that's in the Vegas, Memorial Day or whatever.
Double or Nothing.
Double or Nothing, yeah. I think that's kind of a more appropriate timeline for that. But, the Good Brothers really cut a great promo before this and really popped me. Those guys are funny. I might start listening to their podcast.
I've listened to it a couple times. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they are because Talking Shop Mania was hilarious, but they did the whole thing, and we're gonna do our favorite thing, which is beat up Jon Moxley, and a play on the beat up John Cena thing.
Right.
I died. That was good.
Anything else that we want to talk about through AEW Dynamite? The main event was really good. Young Bucks and the Good Brothers versus the Dark Order. Mox and Phoenix come out. I think I wrote down Penta.
Yeah, Phoenix came out.
I mean, they're like the Young Bucks to me. I can't tell them apart.
Jesus Christ.
Even one with a mask. One of them was a big star in WWE. He calls them by their name, the wrong name all the time.
They all look alike.
This guy also thinks the Dark Order's not over even after watching that match last night. So.
I can tell the difference between Moxley and Phoenix.
I would like to think so.
I can't tell the difference between Phoenix and Penta.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I mean, is the Dark Order over?
That match was like a video game match. It was super fun. You don't think the crowd would have been nuts for that? Stu Grayson was killing it.
It's hard to say what the crowd would be doing.
Right.
I won't say that they're not over. I would say that they're not over with this particular viewer.
No, that's very fair. No, I'm leaning towards Zach on this one. Just Silver and Stu Grayson stand out. to me as the guys that really had the big spots in the match. I thought the match itself was good. They did enough to at least get me to be excited for the 6-man tag next week. Plenty of teases going around. I like the way this is being led on. It's not happening fast. I'll just say this, and just to close out my thoughts on AEW. If Santana and Ortiz don't win this fucking tag team tournament next week, we're going to have a fucking problem. A serious problem. Okay? This is getting aggravating. If they can't.
What happens if it's Jericho and MJF?
Dude, I'm done. I'm going to be real fucking pissed. Okay? I'm not going to say I'm going to stop watching AEW like I said I was going to stop watching Raw if Goldberg won, but yeah, I'm going to be a little pissed. This is a golden opportunity to do it. If they lose to the Bucks, then they lose to the Bucks. But I mean, damn, let's put them back on the map.
Any other last thoughts on AEW Dynamite before we get into the Royal Rumble portion of the program? All right, let's get to that. 3 counts.
1, 2, 3.
Okay, so as we warned last week and as we said on Twitter a couple nights this week, we are going to go back and review the 1992 Royal Rumble, thought by many to be the best Royal Rumble in the history of Royal Rumbles. So let's just go through the whole card. You guys watched the whole thing, right?
I watched the whole thing.
The whole kit and caboodle?
Yes, sir.
The first match was the New Foundation, which was Owen Hart and Jim Neidhart versus the Orient Express, which was Kato and Pat Tanaka, with Mr. Fuji. New Foundation goes over in 17 minutes. What did you think about this, Jason? Watching this with fresh eyes, I mean, just almost 30 years ago.
Yeah, I was a senior in high school. Scary.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
That sounds like something that I would make a joke about. Except you're being serious. You were actually a senior in high school 30 years ago.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to start watching that for 30 seconds. The fashion was the first thing I tripped off of. It's just, I totally forgot how just so bad they did the New Foundation or whatever fashion-wise. The Orient Express, there's jokes right there that you can have for weeks and months. Stereotypical at best. The match itself was fine. It kind of, to me, it felt like, and I would have to go back and, rewatch this to lead up to it. It just felt like the New Foundation was just starting to get their legs underneath them. This was Bret Hart breaking away, becoming Intercontinental Champion. We'll talk about that in a second. I mean, it was really a basic curtain jerker match. Nothing too spectacular. I gave it 2.5 stars.
Oh, we're giving star ratings. Okay. Zach,
I wasn't sure. I wrote it down just to be safe.
Zach, what'd you think?
I didn't star rate anything. I did think this was the best show best card on, the best match on the card. It wasn't the Royal Rumble, right? Like, Owen Hart totally rules. And I was only 7 whenever this aired, so I hadn't even discovered jerking off yet.
Jesus Christ. Zach saying that this is the best match on the card, and you making that face makes me question if you really watched this match. Like, I thought this match was great.
Great,
I mean, as far as a 1992 match with a bunch of dudes that were all steroided up that could barely move, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, well, I'll stand by me rolling my eyes. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Zach, please.
It was definitely probably the most modern match on the card.
Fair enough.
Owen Hart fucking ruled in this
I'm
match.
not disagreeing with that part.
Yeah, you had the heat, that garnered actual heat, like that kind of interference that with Mr. Fuji that actually got you mad about Mr. Fuji and not just like a groan-worthy, thing, which is indicative of a lot of interference in a lot of promotions. Like, I groan every main event in New Japan. Like I said, like, it's the same match and it just sucks. Like, and that's coming from, like, that's my favorite promotion, but shit sucks. And when shit sucks, it sucks. But this is, you got real heat, and I think part of it, is that time period. It's just so cool to see these large crowds that actually, like, kayfabe was still alive too, like, to varying degrees, like, but certain aspects of kayfabe were very much alive. But yeah, this was a cool match.
Yeah, I loved it. I didn't give it a star rating either, but if I was going to give it a star rating, I'd probably give it like a 3 1/4 or something. Like I just thought it was a really fun match. It was kind of basic. It was kind of basic in that Owen Hart was kind of the high flyer and Jim Neidhart was the heavy that came in behind him. But man, Jim Neidhart's shit looks like it hurt. Like he was, he was really beating some dudes up. I had a lot.
I think you got to give it an extra 1/4 star for those checkered parachutes.
It's so weird to watch this stuff now, and this might seem obvious, but if you haven't gone back and actually watched stuff like this lately, it's so weird to watch it now and see how it all seemed like way less complicated and so much better in terms of the storytelling in the ring. It's like, and I'm talking about basically about WWE here. We're like, WWE has somehow like narrowed its match style down to like where almost every match is the exact same. Be it a tag team match or a singles match or a triple threat, it's always the babyface working from under, the babyface working from under, and that is not the way that this match didn't seem to have a structure like that. You know, it was real back and forth, and it was simpler, and it just seemed to me like it worked more. I had a bunch of fun with this match. Rowdy Piper defeats the Mountie for the Intercontinental Championship. Piper and Mountie both cut incredible promos before this match that probably lasted about as long as the match. The match was 5 minutes and 22 seconds. What'd you think about it, Zach?
Yeah, the match was what it was. There was a whole lot of stuff. I went back and read the Observer newsletter around this time because I was just interested to see like what the vibe was like overall. And I guess like, so Brett had lost the title. You know, they had actually said he went into the ring with a fever, lost the title. He was like running like 104 fever or something. But like Brett was supposed to go to WCW, which is wild, which I didn't even realize back then because we know about the Attitude Era and like this Montreal Screwjob and stuff. But that's why they took the title off of him. And then he ended up not going, and he ends up getting the title back at WrestleMania, which I will say, like you mentioned, like the booking being simpler, absolutely refreshing. And what was refreshing is I watched this 92 WrestleMania last night at work. I put it on because we were so slow because it snowed, and all the storylines like lined up and like made sense, and like Royal Rumble progressed to WrestleMania, and that WrestleMania was awesome. Like, go watch it like after you watch this because it was one like I hadn't watched it in a very long time, but it was WrestleMania 8. Shit was great. It was one of the better ones that I can remember. But anyway,
maybe we'll do a WrestleMania throwback and just watch the fucking 92 WrestleMania too.
Yeah, whenever WrestleMania time comes.
Yeah, for the show.
But yeah, it was good. It was fun. But yeah, like anyway, I only mentioned that if you want like a little kind of inside scoop because I was like, oh yeah, Piper, Intercontinental Champion. I knew that he'd had it for a little bit, but I didn't remember this Mountie thing like going on. But Mountie, like I don't know, it's just fun. I've been throwing these late 80s, early 90s stuff up. I had watched this recently anyway before because I've been throwing it up at work, and like the amount of people that stop and like talk to you because it's like their childhood like memories and stuff. And WWF was so cartoonish and so over the top that it was just great. I mean, it was like watching like big cartoon characters, like Bill said, they're all roided up and they're just like larger than life, and it's just so different, like just so different. But anyway,
I don't really remember the Mountie when I was a kid. I really liked the Mountie here. The Mountie was really good. I should also point out, you know, and now we can start to have a Heenan conversation, even though I think he's going to get brought up quite a few times in the next few minutes. Heenan playing down Bret Hart's 104-degree fever by continuing to say over and over again that he has had 113-degree fever, and Monsoon being like, "You'd be dead." He's like, "I felt a little sick," like, and he kept driving it home. I mean, we can get into the Heenan thing right now. This was so much fun to watch from front to back because Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon never stop, and they were perfect together. just,
I feel like they're the pinnacle for me for a 2-man booth. You know, I grew up with JR and Jerry the King, which are
right.
great in their own way.
Right.
But before that, as a kid, I grew up with Gorilla and Brain, and rewatching that stuff as an adult, I think they're just the best.
They're even better than you remember them, actually, and I don't think that's nostalgia. I think if they were doing that today, because they're pretty over the top too, but man, Heenan's character as being the heel, he is so relentlessly consistent in his attitude the entire 3 hours that he's on the show. I mean, it's really something. It was. I don't think that I'm being hyperbolic to say that they made the show. They were incredible. Like they are incredible together, and they had such chemistry. And Monsoon he'd get so mad at them for saying shit, and Monsoon he was selling it too, man.
Will you stop that?
Oh man, he was so good. And Heenan just talking about Flair the entire time, and him talking about how he's gonna Monsoon's like, you're gonna sneak back there and see where Flair's coming in the Rumble. He's like, no, I'm not. I gotta go to the bathroom.
What did he say about?
I also appreciated Roddy Piper saying that the Mounties been dreaming about me, but most of them have been wet.
I was like, oh yeah. I'm like, okay.
Piper's promos are outrageous.
Outrageous, and he goes, you're saying you have more integrity than me? He's like, that's Jacques Cousteau trying to go to the ocean and finding a dry spot. I ain't got no integrity.
I'm like, man, these motherfuckers is crazy.
Incredible stuff.
No, it was, and this is when people are talking about, promos, just to segue into this part. People talk about promos and, guys can't cut promos, in 2021 or whatever the case may be. Guys that were doing those promos weren't being told what to do. They were told, this is what you need to talk about, and go out there and talk about it for 2 minutes. And they just cut these great promos. And I think a lot of it is going back to, we've gotten away from that and, basically told these guys, this is what you have to say, memorize these lines. And that doesn't work for everybody. Ricochet is a great example of a guy that's fed lines that usually just don't work for him. You just need to let Ricochet just talk, say what's on your mind type shit. He did a little promo on, look like it was his phone or whatever. That was one of his best promos I've ever seen. And that's kind of the reason why, WWE grits my teeth from time to time, is that they had something that worked so well, and then over the course of time, for whatever reason, they've gotten away from that. But no, I think that, like I said, to me, Piper and the Mountie for a lesser degree, but Piper for sure, especially just in this segment we're talking about, he kind of made the match a little better just talking about it, number one. The second thing I wanted to talk about, going back to baby faces being stupid, when Mountie beat Bret Hart and then jumped in post-match, Piper made the save, so that sets up this match. So Piper's going to check on Bret Hart, and he turns his back on the Mountie, and then what happens? The Mountie jumps him. And this is 1992, okay? So that's what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. There are some good baby faces that I like, but for the most part, they just are not very fucking smart.
Up next, we had the Beverly Brothers, who I don't remember at all, with the Genius against the Bushwhackers. This was a 15-minute match, which is a really long match.
They should have traded times. Piper and
no shit.
Mountie should have went 15. This should have went 5.
I don't have much to say about this match other than I don't remember the Beverly Brothers. I don't remember Jameson, who was the Bushwhackers manager. But, man, Heenan was riding the fuck out of Jameson, man.
Ooh.
So funny.
That was the whole reason that this match was bearable.
Oh.
At least
yes.
I'll go this far. Up to the Royal Rumble itself, these matches were pretty non-consequential. Even the tag team title match didn't really make me get excited. But this is where Gorilla and Bobby Heenan earn their money, because they at least kept me interested enough to make me want to listen to what Bobby was going to say next, who he was going to run down next, and see how quickly Gorilla defended it. That part was good. Like I said, these front four matches, not so much.
I don't want to spend the whole podcast just doing Bobby Heenan lines because I just watched it today. But, man, him talking about Jameson and his parents abandoning him and saying his parents never really got divorced, they just were sick of the kid, and that his mom wrapped his lunch in a road map. I was just dying, man. Like,
I'm sorry, you cannot get away with stuff like that in 2021. What he said about Tito Santana and the Royal Rumble, I was like, oh yeah, you definitely can't see that shit.
I might have missed that. What? But I think I remember it.
He was somebody was kicking Tito Santana. He was like, Bill Vegas making guacamole out of Tito Santana, and like a couple minutes later, he hits the flying forearm on somebody who's like, El Matador with the flying jalapeno. I'm like, oh Jesus Christ!
What were you gonna say,
Dude,
Zach?
Something else you can't get away with. Like, I don't care if it was 1992 or what, like, or how big of a wrestling fan I am. Bushwhacker Luke, you ain't licking my kid. Like, he licked so many kids on the way down.
You ain't lying. I'll say you might as well just be sitting in the kindergarten room with 25 kids. Just let them start coughing on you. See how that works out.
Yeah, pandemic aside, I mean, like, dude, you cannot like just walk up to a stranger's child and lick them from neck to ear.
Hell
like,
no.
Not, oh man,
That's so funny.
It's the truth.
I don't think we have to talk about. Do you want to talk about natural disasters versus Legion of Doom?
Not particularly now.
I didn't like the finish because it was like a totally like cheap finish with the
count out finish in 1992. What are they doing in 2021? Count out finishes. God damn, these motherfuckers get paid $1 billion for this bullshit.
I do gotta say, yeah, that's true. I do have to say, I love John Tenta, and like always have a soft spot for Earthquake. So, but yeah, I mean, like it's fun to see Legion of Doom, aka Road Warriors, just because like the nostalgia of them just like beating dudes up and just killing dudes. But yeah, I mean the match is nothing really to speak of, but I do like those guys.
All right, let's move on to the
real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yes, we're moving on to the Royal Rumble, but before the Royal Rumble, Jason was talking about promos. They had like almost every dude do a promo. I watched this 3 times.
They probably had 10. They probably had 10 dudes do promos.
I think there was more. I think there was probably like a dozen or 15. It was a lot. I mean, but
throughout the show, there was probably like half the guys did a
better promo than like anybody on the main roster.
Who'd you say?
The Repo Man.
Oh,
goddamn Repo Man.
I thought the same thing. I was like, man, the Repo Man's cutting a pretty good fucking promo right now. I thought the exact same
he was
thing.
until he fucked up the name of the title. I can't remember what he said, but he fucked it up. Outside of that, he was on point, which is scary.
I'll tell you what, a good catchphrase is what's mine is mine, and what's yours is also mine.
I was like, okay,
pretty good catchphrase.
Okay, that's the Repo Man. I hate the character, but I like that shit.
No, I totally agree, Zach, and thank you for stopping me, because that is one of those little things that they've overcomplicated stuff now to such a point that they've forgotten, and I know this makes me sound, or probably makes us sound like old men yelling at clouds. But
get off my lawn, motherfucker.
But that is just one of those simple things, and when you see it now, watching a television show now or watching a pay-per-view now, you're like, oh, that works. I like watching a guy just sell the match about how bad he wants to win. Like talking about Roddy Piper. I mean, he cut a promo on the Mounties promo right after it, and that shit wasn't written.
Right.
That's just how good the dude was.
Right.
So Ric Flair wins this match. I guess. Well, I know my biggest takeaway from it, but Zach, what was your biggest takeaway from it?
Well, I mean, this was the Ric Flair show. Like, I mean, they even talked about Ric Flair. Like you said, Heenan talked about Flair for the entire 3 hours. So this was totally, like, highlighted Ric Flair. The craziest thing to me was the ending. Like, I had forgotten how it ended, but like Hulk Hogan looked like a total heel.
Okay.
At the end, and that sets up a match with him and Sid Justice. He looks like a heel because he essentially helps Ric Flair dump Sid Justice out. They're the last three people, and Hogan's out and he's mad. So then he basically like helps Flair out Justice so Flair would win. And that was like totally heelish and crazy. But yeah, I mean, he was in there for what, an hour? It was the longest. I think, it was the record at the time. I don't know what the record is anymore, but he was like number 3 or 2 or 3.
I have it written down. It was British Bulldog and DiBiase.
Yeah, I wrote it down too.
DiBiase and Bulldog were 1 and 2, and then Flair was 3, and then a guy named Jerry Sags.
Nasty Boys.
Nasty Boys.
I don't remember his name ever being Jerry Sags.
Their only claim to fame was like being friends with Hogan.
Yeah, right. I mean, never fails.
Zach almost said exactly what I was going to say, is that the biggest takeaway that I mean, Flair basically sold for an hour. I mean, all he did was sell because he was taking everybody's best shots as they were coming in.
Yeah, he got beat up a lot.
He got beat up the entire time. I loved it when Greg Valentine came in and
put the finger four on him. I'm like, what?
Went right at him, man. He's like, fuck you. And then a couple of other people did. Oh, Big Boss Man had a really good part with Flair. What a joy it was to watch Ric Flair for just an hour against 29 other dudes, because he basically had a spot
with everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it was really...
Kerry Von Erich was the one where I was just man. 1983 just flooded back into my mind where I cried where Kerry Von Erich pinned Ric Flair. That's where I was just like, that to me was my biggest takeaway, was like memories of, matches past or things that were going to happen coming down the pike, like Shawn Michaels and Ric Flair, when they were in the ring together. I caught myself like, holy shit, this is before Heartbreak Kid was even a thing. Shawn Michaels was just breaking away from Marty Jannetty. He threw,
the
week before he just threw Jannetty through the plate glass window. So now this is, Shawn Michaels' big foray into, the singles game. And now here he is.
Crazy because he ends up retiring.
Right. Yeah. And that's,
that's what I was thinking too. I'm like, dude, they never would have guessed in their wildest dreams. Like, Flair might have thought it, but Michaels,
Shawn Michaels is probably just happy to be, a singles guy for a little bit. Fuck. And he's not thinking about 20 years down the line. He's getting ready to super kick Ric Flair into retirement. So, yeah, a lot of this stuff was just so, for me, just weird to see, weird to think about, what has happened, what was going to be. And obviously, outside of Naito, Ric Flair is the number one guy in my world. And to rewatch him take out WWE Hall of Famers, enhancement talent, the whole shebang. It was just fun to watch.
I loved it when he begged off of Big Boss Man, and they poked him in the eyes while he was begging off. Man, smart, man. Smartest, dirtiest player in the game. How many guys out of these 30, and I'm looking at the list right now. Now, Jason, I'm sure your answer is 0.
Damn, he asked the question for...
How many guys do you not remember at all? Because I don't remember the Barbarian. I don't remember Skinner.
Skinner was one where I was just like, yeah,
I didn't remember Skinner.
Skinner and the Berserker were the two big ones, and the Berserker I vaguely remember.
I remember the name Berserker, but when he came out, I was like, that is not what I pictured him as. Like I said, I remember the Nasty Boys, and I remember Jerry Sags. I was like, is that Brian Knobbs? I was like, oh, it's not Brian Knobbs. I guess that's it. I don't remember Hercules really either.
Hercules Hernandez, he had the chain around his neck, like in the mid 80s or whatever, when they had the animated TV show, if I'm not mistaken. He was on the animated TV show.
Another thing. Yeah. Go ahead, Zach.
I was just going to say Berserker and Hercules and the Skinner guy. Those are the only guys that I had no recollection of at all.
I guess I remember Colonel Mustafa, but not really.
He was Sergeant Slaughter's manager when Slaughter turned heel right around the 90s or whatever.
Iron Sheik.
Yeah. Well, he was with the Iron Sheik here, obviously, but
Right.
the reason I even remember Colonel Mustafa is the fact that, Mustafa was Iron Sheik's name in this Royal Rumble. So whoever the manager was, I thought who we were talking about. Never mind.
That is who I was talking about.
Okay, well then he was Slaughter's manager when he turned heel or whatever.
All right, here's another thing that never occurred to me until I was watching right here. God damn, it seems really anti-Semitic to name an accountant Erwin R. Shyster.
Dog.
Just fucking straight up, they named him Shyster.
And nobody said a damn word. You might as well just call that dude the N-word. Just kept on moving.
Erwin R. Shyster. It's not quite the N-word because I've said it 4 times in a row on the podcast, but it's also not very good.
No, not at all. God bless Mike Rotundi. He just said, fuck it, I'll sign here. Fantastic. And I ain't mad at nobody for it. Get your money, man.
It's a very fun Royal Rumble. Is it the best one ever? I mean, I guess it depends on your opinion of Ric Flair. If Ric Flair's in your Mount Rushmore, which I think he's in the most Smarks Mount Rushmore, he's got to be up there, then it's hard to say that there's been a better one because, like we said, it was the Ric Flair
show.
It was the Ric Flair show, man.
Well,
he does it all.
I'll say this, and then
then he cuts a killer promo afterwards.
Dude, I damn near cried again. I'll say this: in the age where we're seeing partnership with AEW and Impact, this to me was one of the biggest moments going back in time, 20 plus years, obviously, where you had the kingpin of at least the NWA/WCW finally leaving to try to take over what was arguably the biggest company, at least in the United States, arguably in the world at that point, in the WWE or WWF, I'm sorry. So for me, that's like more significance of why I think I look at this particular Royal Rumble with such fondness, because I remember Ric Flair leaving. I remember him going to WWF. I remember me thinking there's no way on God's green earth he's going to take the title off of Hulk Hogan. I mean, it's Hulk Hogan, for Christ's sake, there's just no way. And next thing you know, I look up and he's the champion, obviously by, dubious measures, which is another thing. I was just like, okay, so now what's up with Hulk Hogan? So we just going to pretend like he just didn't pull Sid Justice over this fucking top rope and people are still cheering for him. I'm like, God damn, y'all motherfuckers just so fucking blindly loyal. Another reason why I can't stand WWE, but that's another story for another time. But yeah, this was a nice little throwback for me personally, because like I said, to me, Ric Flair is the GOAT amongst all others. So to watch him win the title in the WWF for a moment I thought I would never see, it was a great little ride back on memory lane, so to speak.
Any final thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to start watching these again, just the Royal Rumbles, because I have the network and I actually don't have to feel guilty about it anymore, because soon I'll just be a Peacock subscriber and not a network subscriber.
There you go. There you go.
But,
NBC's known to be so ethical.
Yeah. But this is the first Royal Rumble that I remember. I didn't watch it. I was just 7, but I remember the aftermath, because that's whenever I was starting to kind of more regularly watch wrestling, and kind of thinking back, I think it's the first one that I remember, but I think the first one that I might have watched was a couple of years later when Bret Hart and Lex Luger went out at the same time.
See, I didn't.
And then
I really don't remember that one.
That was 94, and then right after that, Shawn Michaels won twice in a row, and I was a huge Shawn Michaels fan.
See,
I remember I begged my mom to take me to some boat dealership in St. Charles or St. Peter's just so I could meet him one time, and we missed it. We went on the wrong week. But anyway, it was a bummer. But yeah. And then right after that, you had Steve Austin's reign of terror. So he won twice in a row. So I'm just like, dude, I got to watch these other ones before I can say.
Yeah, I was going to say the star power is a reason why you could say that this is arguably the greatest Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and I just want to put out there before we're done that Flair was in there for an hour, but
Rey Mysterio?
No, I was going to say in terms of the top five wrestlers that were in this Rumble that were in it the longest, it's Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Savage, British Bulldog, and IRS. I mean,
yeah, that feels right. IRS was kind of hanging around there for a little bit,
but I mean, those are some fucking workers, though.
Oh, man. Well, yeah, but I mean, this is the time, day and age where you had guys that could go 30, 35, 40 minutes.
If you're listening right now and you haven't gone back and watched this in a while, it's worth your time.
No,
because it's tons of star power in there, and like Zach said, Zach took the words out of my mouth. I did not remember Hogan being such a heel at the end, even though Sid Justice was a heel.
Right.
I mean, Hogan was like, "Fuck you, I'm helping Flair now."
Say, "Oh, you damn sure ain't winning."
Not the ending I remember, but let's tie a bow on it, and we're gonna get to our 2021 Royal Rumble. That was our 3 counts.
1, 2, 3.
You want to hear some fucked up shit real quick before we do the predictions?
Yes.
That Sid Justice.
We're still recording, by the way. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. That Sid Justice Hulk Hogan match main evented on top of Flair Savage.
Dude, don't get me started about that bullshit.
On top of what?
Flair Savage was for the title at WrestleMania 8, and it went on like mid card, and then they had two like buffer matches, and then they had Hogan and Sid Justice at the top of the WrestleMania card, even though the best match on the show by far was Flair Savage, and it was for the title. Like, and Hogan just couldn't even not be in even the Royal Rumble finish. It was like so indicative of like, dude, like talk about politicking, like
a motherfucker.
Dude, like,
I mean, that's the
big dick swinging.
I mean, that's the CM Punk John Cena story, though. CM Punk was champ for what, 400 days or something?
Yeah,
and he never main evented the pay-per-view. I don't think.
I was going to say, I don't think he did.
I think it was just Cena. I think he always went on third to last.
Right. Somewhere in the middle.
They'd have him, and then they'd have a popcorn match, and then they'd have the Cena match, which, yeah, I mean, that kind of makes sense. Is that Savage is Punk in this, and Hogan and Cena. Okay, here we go. We're going to get into the 2021
Can
Royal
you say
Rumble
Hulk
predictions.
Hogan's a bitch?
All right.
Yes,
so
Reba. Hulk
before
Hogan's
we
a
do our
bitch.
Royal Rumble predictions, we're going to do the other matches on the card because there are 3 other matches on the card.
Great.
Well, I mean, they are all kind of interesting.
In their own little way.
All right, I'll let Zach go first. Zach, Asuka and Charlotte Flair versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler for the women's tag team belts. Who do you got?
Asuka and Charlotte, just because I just can't imagine it going any other way, really. Like, just doesn't make sense. Otherwise, just because of Charlotte being back and it's a pay-per-view, it's a big pay-per-view, like, I don't know, Charlotte's not losing. And the reason I say it won't make sense is, like, Charlotte's not going to lose.
All right. Jason, who you got?
I'm going to double down on that. They just got the titles on top of it. There's seemingly no reason, I shouldn't say no reason, but there was Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, I think, have ran their course as tag team champions. Best choice of words. I would like to think that whoever is going to be the next tag team champions would be, 1, an actual team, and 2, be the team that can use the rub of winning titles off of Asuka and Charlotte to propel them moving forward. So, yeah, we'll go with Asuka and Charlotte for the retaining.
All right. So my initial thought was to have Asuka and Charlotte Flair retain. Then I started going the other way. What I'd really like to know is which match is going on first. Because there's 2 Royal Rumbles. I have to think that Charlotte is going to be in the Women's Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if Asuka is because she's the champion.
I would probably say no.
She shouldn't be.
No.
But Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler are. So if
Yeah.
the women's Royal Rumble is going on first,
Look at you. Look at you making it all difficult.
They could also tell a story where Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler either implode or Charlotte and Asuka have a moment in there. I don't know what's going to happen, but I have some inklings that I'm not going to say right now because we have to do women's predictions later. For no other reason other than we're no longer keeping track of who's the best and who's the worst because I've been the worst forever and I'm going to continue being the worst. I'm just going to fucking take Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler.
Do it!
All right. Fuck you. All right.
I'd have to Jedi mind trick you into doing it.
Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens in a last man standing match. I'm going to take Roman Reigns. I'm not even going to analyze this one. Go ahead, Jason.
Once again, I will double down on it. I guess what I'm kind of looking for here, fingers crossed, is the return of one Jimmy Uso to the fold. I think that is the next evolution to the bloodline. At some point, it's going to happen. It's just the question of when and where. Royal Rumble seems like a big enough stage to bring in Jimmy, because God knows, and I'm one of those people that can't do it either. People usually can't tell the difference between Jay and Jimmy. So if you want to, pull a little switcheroo and bring Jimmy in, making everybody think, oh, it's Jay Uso interfering again. No, it's not. It's actually Jimmy Uso interfering. So you have that going. But either way,
oh, what? You can't tell the difference between Jimmy and Jay?
No, I already said that.
Jimmy and
no,
Jay?
I said that leading up to that.
I know, but you guys always fuck with me. I can't tell the difference between the Young Bucks. You guys fuck
okay,
with me all the time.
wait.
Yeah, well, the Young Bucks aren't identical twins.
Thank you. I was
What?
gonna say.
What?
What? Like they aren't?
Yeah, like all of a sudden this is breaking news.
Wait, what? Wait. They're not?
BFR breaking news. Young Bucks, not identical twins.
All right, go ahead. All right, so you're taking Roman Reigns?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right, Zach, you're up.
Oh, yeah, Roman Reigns. For sure, 100%.
All right, so this is where it gets a little trickier because I think there's a few different ways you could go here. You got McIntyre versus Goldberg. So now you got to start thinking, who is going to win the Royal Rumble? And is it going to be Goldberg? Could Goldberg win and then The Fiend come back to try to avenge his loss to Goldberg? Could you have Goldberg win and then have Edge win the Royal Rumble? So then you'll have a spear versus spear match. That's a big match at
WrestleMania.
I am going to refuse to believe that Vince is going to do this again this year. I'm just going to refuse to believe it because I'm a purist.
God bless you.
I'm taking McIntyre. Jason?
I'm not a firm believer in God. Let's go like that. But I do believe that God does certain things for certain reasons. I'll go like this. This is WrestleMania season, and we're getting ready to at least put some butts in seats down in Raymond James Stadium. The best way you usually put butts in seats is to give them something that they want to see. Casual fans that are getting ready to cough up $10,000, $11,000 a seat don't necessarily want to come there to see Drew McIntyre.
Hot ass take.
They want to see Bill Goldberg. I think God wants me to take a break from Raw for a little bit. Plus, like I said, I think Bill Goldberg is probably a fairly safe bet. We've done this at least twice. I don't see why this won't be a hat trick. I'm taking Goldberg.
All right, you're the tiebreaker, Zach.
I am going Goldberg because Goldberg is essentially the Narcan for the heroin addicts. Like you've been wasting your life away watching Raw, and you're gonna get that shot in the chest, and it's gonna wake you right up, and you're like, "Oh, I'm never doing that shit again."
Just an incredible take. Just.
Let's not act like we ain't seen this before. Your boy has been a victim of it. The feed's been a victim of it.
No, I just watched this 60 Minutes thing about Narcan, and I mean,
okay.
it's one of the funniest jokes that Zach's ever told, and he's told a lot of funny jokes.
This is true.
It's fucking hilarious to me. So, all three of us took Roman Reigns, and I'm the oddball out. I took McIntyre. You guys both took Goldberg. I took Nia Jax and Baszler. You guys both took Asuka and Charlotte Flair. Okay, so now we're on to the Royal Rumbles. I would say for the men's Royal Rumble, this is one of the most unpredictable years that we've had in a long time, if not ever.
Well, they haven't really done kind of much of a build for it.
They really haven't, but there's usually one or two guys. You're like, well, it's going to be, it's going to be Roman Reigns. It's going to be Triple H. It's going to be that one year everybody thought it was going to be Jericho, but it ended up being Sheamus the year that we went.
Right.
But it seems pretty unpredictable right now. So this is what we're going to do for the women's and the men's. We're gonna pick numbers out for. Pick numbers out. Do these have names or numbers?
They have names.
Okay, so we're going to go the Women's Royal Rumble first. So whoever picks first, they go first, and then second, third. Whoever picks third goes twice in a row, and then it goes back down. Okay, so I haven't looked at these. So the first pick, is that a J?
Yep.
First pick is Jason. Second pick is Zach, and the third pick is Bill. So, Jason, for the Women's Royal Rumble, who are you taking as the number one pick?
Well, I was not expecting to get the number one pick, but I will take it and gladly represent it well, hopefully. Bianca Belair is, to me, the safe pick. That would have been the pick if we'd have done it the way we've done it in the past. I think in either case, you can still get Charlotte and Rhea Ripley if you wanted to go that route. But to me, I think the match that I kind of want to see is more Bianca versus Charlotte or Bianca versus Sasha. It kind of gets Bayley away from Sasha a little bit. If Bianca won the title, you can at least easily move into a Bayley-Bianca feud, which they're setting up the blocks for. I'm not a huge fan of the obstacle course segment on SmackDown, but that's another story for another time.
No. No, it sucks.
I think Bianca Belair, to me, this is what Royal Rumble is kind of supposed to be, is the person that is right there on the cusp, but just needs that little bump to get them up to the main event scene, or at least to the title match. Bianca Belair is there. She just needs that little bump, and this is the stage to do it. So I'm going to take my first pick as Bianca Belair.
Okay, Zach, who is your first pick?
I like that one. I hope it happens. I actually like the obstacle course thing. I'm not going to lie. Just because I thought it made Bianca look real good, because she's like a great athlete. But anyway, I'm going to have to go with somebody who they totally have screwed up this year, and this is one way out of screwing up, and also one way to make it seem like they were incredibly smart all year, because they knew that they could just beat her down and it wouldn't matter because she's going to come and win the Rumble. But I think Rhea Ripley's going to be a surprise.
I had my pen on her name. I'm like, okay, Zach, stop being Jason. Just say the name. I swear to God, I'm like literally like, yeah, it's Rhea Ripley.
I wanted that pick so bad. Okay, so that leaves me with 2 picks in a row.
Back to back.
So, for the first pick, I'm just going to take chalk just because I think it's smart. I'm going to take Charlotte Flair. She won last year. Vince is going to love to put her in the top spot. He loves to put her in the top spot. Vince loves Charlotte Flair. I mean, there's no doubt. My second pick is going to be another surprise entrant who has been on top before.
Motherfucker, you're going to take my pick, aren't you?
She might be. She's a great actress. If you've seen The Expendables 3,
God damn it, you're taking my pick.
I'm taking Ronda Rousey.
Fucking asshole.
All
I was
right.
going to throw that in there, too. That's funny. I thought I was going to surprise you.
No, we always say, but here's the bad part about. Well, I'll wait until we're all done. But I got the sneaky suspicion that this is getting ready to start getting ugly here in 30 seconds.
This is definitely more fun. Okay, Zach, you're up.
I am up. All right. So I guess I kind of have to, like, do I play it safe or do I go hard with this one? That's the tough thing.
Well, you got to think. Is the one that you're going hard with something that you think Jason or I is going to steal? Or do you think that person will still be around in a couple picks when it's your last pick?
That's the tough thing. I don't know. I don't know that it would be. So anyway, I guess I'm gonna have to go with I gotta go with my gut and just go hard. So I know this is incredible pod, but I think she's been gone for a while. Fill some seats. She left on top. Let's bring back Becky.
God damn you motherfuckers, man. Y'all driving me up the fucking wall with this bullshit.
All right. So here's my question about Becky Lynch, though. She had the baby?
Yeah.
How long ago she had the baby?
I feel like this whole year seems like it's taken forever.
Yeah, right.
Maybe,
I think it was late 2020.
No. So what they have?
It was right around when Seth Rollins disappeared.
What they have?
A girl.
Oh, well, congratulations. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a girl.
I thought about Becky
Baby
Lynch.
Rue.
I thought about Becky Lynch, and then I thought, well, she's not going to be back yet, because I thought if she had the baby, she must have just had the baby.
December 7th.
Okay.
That's okay. All right. Well, it's pretty
I
quick.
mean, like, with her being such an athlete, I imagine she could probably just come in and, like, not take any bumps and just, like, clothesline the bitch over the top
Asuka
rope.
won Money in the Bank without even being touched. Hell yeah, they can do that shit. Give her number 28. She'll slide in 10 minutes, 15 minutes of work. She's a number one contender.
All right. Your turn.
You motherfuckers here, boy. I swear to God. Okay. Because clearly Ronda Rousey was on everybody's mind, and Zach took my other pick. I'm going this way begrudgingly because we're running A, out of names, and B, storyline kind of made this possible on Monday nights. I'm not a huge fan of the angle, but Alexa Bliss is probably going to have to be in this mix somewhere, especially now with these newfound powers that she has. I don't know if it's the Fiend, taking over her body and now she's bulletproof or whatever the case may be, but this is 2 weeks in a row that she's basically made Asuka look like her bitch, and that's something to be said. I'll take Alexa Bliss as my second pick.
Now you have your third pick, too. I like the Alexa Bliss pick. I like both your picks, actually.
So with this third pick, we're going to think a little bit outside the box for someone who probably needs it more than anybody else that we've named up to this point. I shouldn't say probably, but I think that this person needs a little bit of a push. Shayna Baszler has been basically left to nothing since coming up to the main roster. Losing to Becky Lynch is her main roster claim to fame. Biting her is probably the second biggest thing that she's done since she's come up to the main roster. Neither of which has done her any favors in 2021. It's time to get, if we're going to start actually making this a division past the top four plus Asuka, I should say the four horsewomen plus Asuka, you need depth. You need to have people that actually legitimately could come in and beat whoever your champion is on WrestleMania this year, whatever it is. Shayna Baszler can do it. Can they put her in position to do so? This could be a position to do so. I'll take Shayna Baszler as my final pick.
I think those are three good picks. Zach, your final pick. I think whatever Zach takes is going to have a lot of say on what I take, I think.
I think I'm just going to have to pick this because they love doing stupid shit like this. And if this person wins, it will not be because she dumps anybody out. It'll be because two other people dump themselves out.
Don't do it.
And that's going to be Lana.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, that's not who I was going to take, but it's not
Not the worst idea I've heard today.
it's not terrible, no. Just because they do stupid shit. So I'm forced to make a decision between Mandy Rose and
Stephanie McMahon.
Lacey Evans.
Okay, well then that's pretty easy if it's me.
I could see him doing it to Mandy Rose. I'm going to take Lacey Evans. She was the first person I thought of.
I agree.
So, these are who we have, okay? We're going to put this up, and we put up the beefer stuff last week, but we forgot to make the polls last for a week, and we only made it last for 24 hours. So we'll try to do it differently this time.
I can do that.
These are the my picks are Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, and Lacey Evans. I got the blonde squad.
That's over here.
Right. Jason's got Bianca Belair, Alexa Bliss, and Shayna Baszler. And Zach has Rhea Ripley, Becky Lynch, and Lana. Jason, if you had to pick one person to win, you think it's going to be Bianca Belair?
Yes.
That would be your number one pick.
Yes.
Zach, who would be your number one pick?
If you could pick anybody.
So, like, Rhea was my number one pick, but I really like Jason's pick of Bianca Belair. Like, I would love if she won it, but I would also love if Rhea won it. I think I'd rather have badass Rhea back.
I think Rhea Ripley wins it. That would be my number one pick. If we were doing the power rankings or whatever like we used to do, my pick would be Rhea Ripley.
It would make the easiest road to the rematch for Charlotte versus Rhea. I have no problem with that.
But I think Rousey versus Asuka sounds pretty badass too.
Ronda Rousey, Naomi are like the two names that I keep thinking of that aren't on the radar. People we haven't seen in a while that are coming back, especially with no Kofi. They're going to miss that Royal Rumble spot. So that's where I think Naomi is a dark horse. I don't think she wins, but I would be stunned if she was not there on Sunday. Absolutely stunned.
All right, so let's move on to the men's. Now we're going to redraw. We're going to...
I can pull. I was going to say, I saw you mix them, but I can pull them so that way there's no...
All right, yeah, go ahead. So first pick is going to be... Zach gets the first pick. Second pick going to be...
I'll take one that's closest to me.
Jason. So Bill's got the third pick again. I don't mind it.
I don't like the third pick. I hate being picked last with snake drafts. I like being in the middle.
If you get the first pick, though, you get 1, 6, and 7.
I know, but that doesn't bother me that much. I don't like the first
pick. But if you get the third
pick.
You go third and fourth.
In this scenario, yeah, okay. I like 2 is perfect. I like being just somewhere in the middle, so that way I can just kind of pick guys off.
You are number 2.
Fuck
all right,
you.
Zach, you get the very first pick. Now, this is really unpredictable. Let me just say the guys that are announced to be in it. Edge, Ziggler, Sami Zayn, Mustafa Ali, Jeff Hardy, Cesaro, Otis, Nakamura, Sheamus, Styles, Uso, Jey Uso, John Morrison, The Miz, Bobby Lashley, Daniel Bryan, Big E, and Randy Orton. Bunch of possibilities in there. A bunch of possibilities in there.
I didn't write that dude's name down.
Zach, you have the number one pick. Who are you going with?
I don't even know. Like usually you'd be like, oh, bang, like I got somebody.
I already got mine. Just don't steal it.
This year is
steal
just
it.
Like,
But
I don't know.
I'm sure
like
he's going to
the
steal
build, it's definitely not obvious at all, but I feel like just kind of the growing theme, like what does Vince do? He goes with like what he knows, and I got to go with Edge.
Bastard.
Yep. That would have been my number one pick.
Ditto.
Jason, you're up first. You're up next.
Well, I'll go like this.
I'll tell you what, that promo that Edge had on Raw was really good and made it seem like it was possible.
Yeah, and that's half the battle. We're going with possibility.
They didn't even announce that he was going to be on the show. Like, that's something that might have got somebody watching Raw.
I was going to say, they should have did that last week and been like, Edge comes back, is going to speak next week, tune in to see what he says, blah, blah, blah. We were talking about guys that, who could the winner of Drew and Goldberg face. But what about Roman Reigns? I mean, there's 2 titles. So in this scenario, the winner can pick either championship to go after. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the winner has to come from the Raw side. The winner can easily come from the SmackDown side. Okay? Look, man, he's took my pick, so I got to come up with something at this point. Stop shaking your head at me. Oh, you getting ready to be mad because I'm getting ready to take your pick.
Yes, that's exactly what's
apologize. I'm going to take Daniel Bryan as my second pick. It makes too much sense. They kind of gotten away from it, but now they're bringing it back to where Daniel Bryan is positioned to where he dropped nuggets where he hasn't won the Royal Rumble, but he's already won. He's had his WrestleMania moment. He's been champion. So this is a scenario where you can get a Roman Reigns match with a credible opponent and get him over even more on this nasty heel run he's on, and that way he wins and continues the run through WrestleMania. First pick, Daniel Bryan.
Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania is a money match, and especially a face Daniel Bryan versus a heel
Roman Reigns.
It's a money match. Those would have been my first 2 picks. My first pick, and I guess I got 2 in a row here.
Yes, you do.
Fuck. Okay, so. I'm going to go with Sheamus.
I didn't even have him on my board.
Even
but
though
it makes sense.
Even though I don't want it to happen, but Sheamus winning and then them telling a story to go from Sheamus versus Drew for the next few months in WrestleMania, it writes itself.
Agreed.
He doesn't necessarily have to win the Royal Rumble to get there, but that's who I'm taking. The next one that I'm taking is going to be...
It's like fantasy football. I'm over here like, please don't say his name. Please don't say his name. Please don't say his name.
I'm taking AJ Styles. Was that it?
No, it's not.
All right. I'm taking AJ Styles just because AJ Styles has never won one. AJ Styles, they did a thing the other night on Raw, which they never do, where they said AJ Styles is 12-2 since coming to Raw, where they brought up his 1-loss record on television, which they never do, which kind of made me think, why the fuck are they doing that?
Right.
So I'm going to go AJ Styles. Jason?
This is like fantasy football. I thought one of 2 would be on the board, and they're both on the board of guys that I think are possible winners of the Royal Rumble. So we're going to take the one that would probably work either way if they wanted to face them up against Drew or Roman Reigns. About a year ago, this guy had a couple of, I guess it was Survivor Series moments. One against, well, I shouldn't say that. It was one Survivor Series moment, one Royal Rumble moment. The Royal Rumble moment was against Brock Lesnar. The Survivor Series moment was against Roman Reigns. I'm going to take Keith Lee as the number 2 pick.
All right. So
I really don't see that happening. It sounds good.
I like it, though. So, Zach, you have 2 in a row here.
2 in a row. Oh, I wasn't prepared for that, but I can make it work. So the Keith Lee pick is a good pick. I have to go with again Vince. It's like my number 2 pick is almost like similar to my number 1 pick.
All right, so you're taking Vince as number 2. Is that what he said? He said Vince is number 2, right?
No,
I think he said it.
Reba, get him.
Gonna think, go with what you know, and he just got another $200 million a year, so he's gonna throw about 10% of that at Brock Lesnar. to come in and win the Rumble.
Damn it.
It's on my list. It's literally on my list of
It
guys.
was gonna be my last pick. Good pick.
So I get another one, and man, I don't know if we're getting this far down if it would happen or not, but I think I'll just continue on in the same vein, and I'm just gonna throw Lars Sullivan out there.
Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you, dude? Come on, man. Don't put that evil on us, Ricky Bobby.
I don't think we're gonna get that far, but I could totally see it happening. Like,
You ain't supposed to say that
list
name
ever.
I'll say it. That's a bad pick.
I wasn't even going to acknowledge the pick, man. Fuck that dude.
I had somebody else to pick before that, but I forgot what it was until I already said it, so I kind of screwed myself. But
Jason,
I did have, yeah.
Are you drinking? Zach?
Me? No, I actually haven't drank since like the last podcast because I was so hungover. So.
Who you got, Jason?
Oof, that's some serious shit. Man, both of my picks are still on. Well, one of my pick is still on the board. The other pick I'm looking at is kind of looking at me. We're looking at each other. What should I do? Both are champions. Both are mid-card champions. Which one do I want to go with?
Go with the brother.
They're both brothers.
Oh man,
They're both brothers.
They're both brothers. They're both mid-card champions. One could easily be faced up against Drew McIntyre if you went on the Raw side. The other could easily be faced up.
He had probably my favorite Drew McIntyre title defense. It was definitely my favorite match by him in a long time.
Yeah, Bobby Lashley has been on a nice little tear lately. Big E's been kind of pushed lately. I'm going to stick to my guns. Bobby Lashley's name was staring at me, and I was staring at Bobby Lashley's name. I'm going to take Bobby Lashley as my third pick.
So I thought about both those dudes, and I'm kind of pissed off you said both of them because I was going to try to surprise you with one of them. You know, okay, so there's still some options here. I think Big E is an option. I think that him winning would be awesome. They usually has a black guy ever won the Royal Rumble? Unless
if you're calling, yeah, I was going to say Rock is the only one I can think of.
Black guy's never won the Royal Rumble. I also think that Nakamura is a possibility.
Yeah,
because they've been making him look.
He's already
good.
won though, but yeah,
all of a sudden they made Cesaro start looking good.
That's the one I was kind of thinking of too.
Which would be the most fun to me. Him and Big E would be the most fun. They would be more fun than Nakamura just because Nakamura's already won it.
Right.
I'm gonna go with the. I just think there's no way that Cesaro's gonna win.
No,
there's just no way. I'm gonna go with Big E Langston as my final pick. So what we're looking at here is Bill's got Sheamus, AJ, and Big E. Jason's got Daniel Bryan, Keith Lee, and Bobby Lashley. And Zach has Edge, Lesnar, which looked pretty good. I mean, it looked like he was going to run away with whoever had the best picks. And then he went with Lars Sullivan as the last pick. So
that's the two polls we're going to put up. Who has the best picks?
Who has the best picks?
Okay.
Those are going to be the two polls that we put up. It's Royal Rumble week. Where are you watching? You watching the Tenders?
Yeah, I was going to say safe bet. I should be there. I should be there like a force.
I will be at Tenders.
Nice.
Zach,
it's
where are you watching it?
We gonna be fucked up.
Invite.
Well, you're invited to Tenders.
Nah, it's all right. I don't go anywhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, stop acting like you've all offended.
I'll be working, so I'll probably have it on at work because I'll be working.
Oh, nice.
Good for you. We got some birthdays.
We should do like a Royal Rumble, like some shots for Royal Rumble, like every 2 minutes?
Yeah, but I mean, sure. Yeah,
we could do that every 2 minutes. Do a shot.
A shot of what every 2 minutes?
What do you want to do a shot of?
I mean, that's a lot of shots if we're going to do a shot every 2 minutes.
It's not like we got to go that far.
A Zima? Sprite?
I don't even know if I can drink that much soda.
Hashtag this is 36. How old you are. We got some birthdays this week. Sheamus is going to be 43.
Oh, shit. He's winning the Royal Rumble now.
Sonata is 33. Hardcore Bob Holly is 58. Giant Gonzalez, who gave, for my money, the best Undertaker match of the entire streak, is 55. Becky Lynch, new mom, congratulations, is 34. Drake Maverick is 38. Fit Finlay is 63. You know what Fit Finlay's real first name is?
No.
Zach?
I actually do, and I can't remember it.
It's the same as Batista's. Dave.
Yes.
Ronda Rousey is 34 this week. Also, Becky
That's
Lynch
it?
and Ronda Rousey, their birthdays are 2 days apart. And Brian Cage is 37.
Damn. Wasted. But not wasted.
Hey, everybody. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you listening to ours.
True story.
For F&B Eatery.
Check.
For Bill's Beard Company.
Check.
For Vice.
Check.
For Murray the Murray Man Murray. For
Check.
Lucha Chris.
Check.
Fuck it. For Tinder Mahal. I mean,
Check.
we're going to party this Sunday,
Yeah,
man.
buddy. Can't wait. We gonna
For
get fucked
Two-Beer
up.
Zach Bowman. For
Check.
Jason Cornelius Bell. I
Konnichiwa,
am
bitches.
Bill Vagey. Black Lives
Check.
Matter. Support
Check.
your local restaurant.
Check.
Support your local weed
Check.
dealer. And
Buy
don't
GameStop.
forget, buy GameStop. And don't
Check.
forget to boo the heels.